What's up, guys? How you doing? This is Dan here with Cigar Salute. And we got a lot to cover tonight. And real quick, I just want to get it out of the way, okay? Because I've been getting this question a lot from you guys lately. And the question is about the delays associated with the overseas vendors in shipping, okay? It's obvious at this point that the last month and a half, 2 months, COVID-19 has permeated every aspect of life, and the United States Postal Service has been hit harder than many other things because of this virus, okay? And there's two main reasons for this, but let me just give you guys, in short, the answer that you are looking for, and that is you can expect packages to take roughly double the time that they typically take from your preferred vendor. I had 2 orders from 2 different merchants come to me in April, and one order came from Havana's, which was shipped out at the very end of March, and it was received April 20th. So you figure about 25 days or so from the day I ordered it to the day I received it. And then the other order was placed the first week of April from Puro Express, and that was received exactly 13 days later. So both of those times are about almost exactly double the time that it would take me to receive an order from one of those vendors during normal circumstances. You know, obviously this is dependent on a bunch of stuff, but if you're not prepared to wait 4 to 6 weeks for a package to come, then I would suggest you hold off from ordering from any overseas vendors, or you purchase your cigars on the secondary market from an individual that's already located stateside. Okay? Most of the vendors have put up disclaimers on their website about these shipping delays, but I want you guys to keep in mind that we're already into May now, just about. Okay? Memorial Day is a few weeks away. This year has just flown by. So by the time this whole corona madness starts to wear down, we could be well into the 90-degree days. And then you run into a whole new set of problems, you know. So it might be better to have a package be in the mail for an extra couple of weeks in 65, 70-degree weather versus having that package sit in the mail for a couple of weeks in 90, 95-degree weather. Okay? We had an incredibly mild winter here in New York, and who knows what the summer's going to look like. But and who knows when this whole corona business is going to be over. So if you guys are running low on cigars, I suggest you either order sooner than later or you make other arrangements. Okay? And the reason for the delays with the USPS specifically is because the USPS has been hit harder than UPS or FedEx or the other private couriers. And the reason for that is twofold, okay? The USPS does not have a dedicated fleet of commercial aircraft that it uses to transport international mail like the private couriers like UPS and FedEx do, okay? So USPS actually purchases, like when a passenger flight coming to the U.S. has extra seats available that didn't get sold, the USPS will purchase those seats, and they will actually use that space to ship packages back to the States, okay? Obviously, COVID-19 has brought about severe restrictions on travel, which means a reduction in passenger flights, which means a reduction in the amount of packages that can be brought into the country via USPS. So this has created a bottleneck of packages that are awaiting export to the States. And you'll notice if you order a package that has tracking from overseas, you will notice that the item will be shipped by the merchant and you won't see it move on the tracking. You won't see it update for 2 or 3 weeks sometimes. Okay, so that's what's going on in that situation. The other delay comes from the sorting facilities. When a package lands in the U.S., it is processed through customs, and then it is sent to something called the ISC. And the ISC is the International Sorting Center, which is exactly what it sounds like. Here, packages are sorted and processed, routed to the appropriate regional distribution facility to get your package one step closer to its local post office to be delivered to your doorstep. Okay. Now, normally when a package is processed through the ISC, everything usually moves very quickly from there. And even if a package has to make 2 or 3 more stops at different regional facilities from there, usually they're not there for more than 12 to 36 hours per stop. But that's not what's happening right now. Okay, the sorting facilities are severely understaffed at the moment, and the reason for that is also related to COVID-19, as not only do you have postal workers that are out sick, but also since schools are not open right now, you have USPS workers with young children staying home to take care of their kids since they're not in school, and I guess they can't get a babysitter on the fly. So even if they're not sick, a lot of the postal workers have to stay home. So there's a severe reduction in labor, available labor in the sorting facilities. And that means that instead of a package sitting from 12 to 36 hours or whatever, 12 to 48 hours, now they're sitting there 4 and 5 days per stop. So this is adding a significant amount of time to the shipping time on your packages. Okay, but any packages that I had in transit were received. All my cigars came in fantastic condition, no issues. So thank you to the merchants that got my stuff here safely. Thank you to the USPS for getting my stuff here safely. Also, tonight, I want to cover a couple of things, okay? In the spirit of positivity and gratitude and generosity, seeing how you guys responded so strongly to my introduction of the Humidor Scores series. It's already at over 2,000 views. Thank you very much for that, guys. I am humbled and honored that you guys took so much interest in my recommendations. And, you guys, I always tell you guys that the questions you ask and the comments you guys leave and the feedback you guys give me propels the content of the channel. So being the man of my word that I aspire to be and try to be, we are coming tonight with volume 2 of the Humidor Scores series, and I will be giving you guys 5 more top cheap and cheerful Cuban cigars. And if you guys haven't seen the first one yet, or even if you have, take a look down in the comment section of that video. And some of my viewers gave some excellent suggestions for affordable and very good Cuban cigars that are a great value and taste great. Okay, cigars like the Rafael Gonzalez Petit Coronas and Perlas, the Monte Cristo No. 5. I can't list every small Vitola or every, affordable Cuban cigar out there, but you guys all have your own personal favorites, and I completely agree with most of you guys, and I appreciate your contributions, and I am working on a list of all those contributions that you guys added to pass around to my viewers who email me asking for suggestions. So thank you guys very much, and keep them coming. You are going to notice with the Humidor Scores series that we are going to be working with incrementally higher amounts, okay? So tonight we're going to be doing the 5 more cheap and cheerful Cuban cigars, and then after that we are going to get into 5 Cuban cigars that are $10 or less, that are niche brands and excellent cigars that don't typically ring out as the first names mentioned when somebody is giving out recommendations for good Cuban cigars, okay? And the reason that I'm kind of like limiting this list to niche brands is because, you know, any website you go to or any forum you go to, you know, the first names that are bound to get kicked out are global brands like Partagas and Cohiba and Monte Cristo, H. Upmann, and Hoyo de Monterrey. You know, so I'm going to be coming at you guys with the local brands, okay? And there are some incredible cigars that are considered to be local or niche brands, whatever you want to call them. But you will see how just adding a few dollars to the budget will increase the value in terms of the quality of the cigars. The caliber of the cigars increases exponentially when we go up just a few dollars in value, okay? So all of these boxes that I'm going to discuss in that second list are $250 USD or less, okay? We'll discuss it a little bit more when we get to that chapter. Before we get to Humidor Scores, though, first, okay, guys, I have something I have to address. I have to get it off my chest. And I want you guys to take note that just like the last 3 videos that have dropped, there will be timestamps in the video description. So I understand that not everybody wants to hear me pitch a bitch and go on a rant, but there's some stuff I got to vent about. I would suggest that newcomers stick around and check it out because you guys may find the information relevant. But if you don't feel like hearing it, I understand that completely, and I do not want to subject anybody to something they're not interested in hearing. So in the spirit of that, I will tell you, if you don't feel like hearing it, just go to the video description and go right to Humidor Scores. But otherwise, I'd like you guys to stick around because I had some stuff happen recently with an individual who had come seeking my advice, and I had replied to this individual, and they had gone online and found the website cigaranalysis.com, which, if you guys have watched my content before, you guys know that I have no love for that site whatsoever, and you guys know how I feel about this site. But this individual, he found himself on that website. I guess he didn't see the disclaimers, and he didn't hear me comment on the amount of misinformation on those sites. But whatever he read on that site moved him enough where he felt like I was not credible after that, and he decided to come onto my comment section and try to slander a vendor he's never even used before. Okay? And he is not the first individual that has brought this website up to me. So I would like, in the next chapter, I am going to be discussing cigaranalysis.com, and I am going to be outing them for the frauds that they are and the purveyors of misinformation that they are. Okay, if you guys aren't interested in hearing about that, no hard feelings, I get it. Okay, but these guys have been a pain in my ass, and I need to fucking air them out and fucking be done with them after that. So if you're interested in seeing that, stick around. If not, go to the video description and skip ahead to Humidor Scores. We'll be right back, guys. What's up, guys? Welcome back. So we are going to fucking roast cigaranalysis.com this evening. Okay? This website has been a giant fucking pain in my ass for a long time now because they spout so much fucking bullshit on their website that they cause confusion and fear in newcomers who are just getting into the whole Cuban cigar thing. And they are coming to me asking questions like, oh, I read this on Cigar Analysis, you know, like, what is that? Why are they saying this? And, you know, there's comments on Cigar Analysis that say this vendor is bad and this, that, this, that, this. First off, let me put you at ease. There is not a single merchant online right now that does not have some kind of negative comment about them, okay? Second of all, if you comb through the comments on the various merchants listed on cigaranalysis.com, many of the comments and complaints that are listed are incidents to the tune of something like this. This vendor sold me fake Monte Cristo number 2s. When I opened up the package, the box was open, the seals were split open, the serial number was removed, and when I opened up the box and looked at the cigars, the wrappers were a totally different color than the Monte Cristo number 2s I got from La Casa del Habano in Germany 7 years ago on my honeymoon. And then on top of that, I looked at the cigar bands, and the little Boy Scout logo in the middle of the Monte Cristo band is now gold, and on my old ones, they were white. And I turned on the bottom of the box, and the little 3-letter code at the bottom of the box was different than last time. Why would it be different? Now, I apologize for that less than stellar face that I just made, and the na-na-na-na-na voice I just made. But any of us who have been around for 5 minutes and have ordered a box of Cuban cigars online before can pick out the little things that I just, inserted in that little diatribe just now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know about the serial numbers. We all know about the open and inspecting of the boxes. We all know about box codes and factory dates and all that stuff. We all know about bands changing, all that stuff. And the fact that these guys that run this site, who proclaim to be these patron saints of the Cuban cigar industry, and are looking out for everybody's best interest, the fact that they don't take the time to answer simple questions like that and put their readers at ease by saying, hey, you know what, that doesn't really mean anything about you getting a fake box of cigars or not. The factory codes change. A lot of vendors do open their boxes and inspect them before they send them out, or they receive the boxes opened already when they get them, which is a lot of times the case. A lot of times a vendor cannot offer you a sealed box because they receive it opened already. And the reason that they receive it opened already is because the regional distributor inspected that box or opened it at some point already, or the merchant that sold them the cigars opened it and inspected it already. Okay? There are vendors that if you request it at the time of ordering, they will send you a sealed box, and I know that for a fact because I have received several sealed boxes this year. As a matter of fact, I have made it a point recently to request sealed boxes just to put the theory to test for my next Vendible feature. It's part of the research that I'm doing, okay? So I want you guys to understand that. So we comb through the complaints on cigaranalysis.com. Most of it is unsubstantiated bullshit. The comments that have a little bit more substance and that are making more substantial accusations against these vendors, they magically never seem to have pictures attached to anything. If it's 2020 and you're not taking a picture and you come across this blatant error with a box of cigars or something like that, to the point where you feel like you need to go online and tell everybody about it to steer this person, steer the cigar smoking public away from this merchant, then you're fucking full of shit. I'm sorry. Okay? If you received a box of cigars in the last 8 or 9 or 10 years and you didn't take a fucking picture, if you saw something that was that bad that you felt the need to go online and complain about, your fucking opinion has no weight on anything. Okay? Because for the last decade, every single person that smokes cigars most likely has been walking around with a high-quality digital camera in their pocket 24/7, 365. All right? I didn't come to you guys with accusations about finest Cuban cigars until I had photos, I had a letter from the printing company, I had facts to back my claims. Okay? So if you guys are going to go and believe some anonymous fucking queef who comes online, spouts a bunch of bullshit, and then fucking disappears like a fart in the wind, then you guys really need to reevaluate your burden of proof that you require. Okay? Because this website, to me, it's clear as day that they have a fucking agenda. And that agenda is to steer you away from gray market vendors, steer you away from duty-free vendors, and steer you away from Swiss vendors specifically. Okay? If you look at cigar analysis criteria for a quality vendor, they list things like buy from a vendor in a tax-paid country. Like, why the fuck does it make a difference to you if somebody buys cigars from a vendor in a tax-paid country or not? Like, why the fuck would you encourage people to spend unnecessary money on the same fucking cigars? Like, what are you trying to, what does that have to do with anything? Okay? It's just buy from a vendor that's associated with a brick and mortar shop. Well, now you just cut out about 85-90% of the online vendors out there, because most of them do not have a physical storefront, which is why they are able to sell cigars at the rate that they do, in conjunction with the fact that they operate in a duty-free environment. All right, and we're going to get into how vendors are able to sell cigars at duty-free prices in a minute. But let me finish this up first, okay? So if you look at, if you want to know who runs things, then you want to look for who is not allowed to be criticized or who is not criticized on this webpage, okay? Now, I don't have 100% proof of who owns this site, but I have a very fucking good idea who it is. I am not going to say their name because I have a bit more class than to make a definitive accusation without proof, but I will say that they are a cigar merchant, 100% on that, and they are located in Eastern Europe, okay? And the way I came to that conclusion was that if you go on cigaranalysis.com, if you read the articles there, they are written in a very specific style of writing. And when I was doing an investigation for this little hit piece I'm in the middle of right now, I came across one of the vendors that were on the good list on cigaranalysis.com, and they were very high up on the good list. And if you look at their frequently asked questions, if you look at the criteria that Cigar Analysis lists as stuff you want to look for with the vendor, well, this particular vendor hits every station of the cross. Like, they make it a point to say, look for a vendor who takes the actual pictures of the cigars they have in their possession and doesn't use stock photos. Okay, it's just, you know, if you look at all the, I don't want to say too much because that would be, you know, pointing too much in their direction. And like I said, you know, until I get 100% proof, like in writing or confirmation from the vendor themselves, which I have reached out to them, they have not reached back. I reached out to Cigar Analysis twice, and they have not reached out. They have not replied to my messages when I inquired about who the owners of the site are, who operates the site, if they're affiliated with any vendor. And I have spoken to a couple of merchants, and they have reached out to Cigar Analysis as well and never have gotten a reply. Okay, I'll get into that in a moment. All right. So the fact is that although I don't want to say which one it is, this site is owned by a cigar merchant, or it is authored by a cigar merchant, and this person has an agenda, and that agenda is to keep you away from the popular vendors that are frequently used in the Cuban cigar community and steer you closer to their direction. Okay? Now, this is where I really start to take issue with this website. Okay, so they have a good list of vendors and a bad list of vendors. Okay, and the bad list of vendors is bad for sure. Okay, you don't want to use any of the vendors on this website's bad list. Okay, you don't want to be using sites like RoyalHabanos.com or SoloCigars.com or whatever. Or SwissCubanCigars.com or Cuban Cigar Online. All right, and it's common sense. I mean, you go on these websites and there's 2003 Cohiba Sublimes Edition Limitadas for $330. You know, there's fucking Behike 52s for $457. And, you know, anybody that's been in the game for 5 minutes knows what's up, and they know that those sites are fugazi. And I don't really think I need to go too deep into that, but if you really are concerned about this, then go to that website, cigaranalysis.com, and you will see their bad list. And if you want, take a fucking screenshot and then get off the webpage and never go back there again, please. The other thing is, if you go to their good list, okay, on their good list, they have vendors like Cigar One listed there. But then when you click on Cigar One's webpage, they go into this whole diatribe about how Cigar One and Top Cubans and Cigars of Cuba and like VIP Cigars or something like that. I never even heard of that site. How they're all connected and have the same owner and this, that, this, and blah, blah, blah. First off, these sites don't have the same owner, okay? The guy who runs Top Cubans is a guy named Dave, okay? And Mark, while I am not 100% whether he's the owner of Cigar One or not, he is the guy that you deal with at Cigar One. They are competition to each other, okay? I have asked Mark about it, and they are Top Cubans and Cigar One do not share the same owner, all right? And that comes straight from Mark at Cigar One, all right? Now, this website talks about them having similar photos to each other, and them having the same inventory labels. All right, guys, let's use a little bit of common sense here. If you go to the bottom of Cigar One's webpage, there is a little banner that says powered by cigardatabase.com. If you click on that banner, it will take you to cigardatabase.com. Cigardatabase.com is a company where you can purchase stock photos of cigars for your web store, okay? Not only do all these websites sell the same product, but they use the same company to buy stock photos of their inventory. That's standard fare, guys. Not every company takes photos of the cigars themselves, you know, because not everybody has time to do that. Not everybody takes professional quality photos. If you can pay $12, which is what these photos cost, you pay $12 for a professional grade photo of the cigars that you're selling, then you're good. You know, like, what difference does it fucking make if they use a stock photo company or not? And who the fuck cares if these websites were connected? They're not, but who cares if they fucking were? All right? Let me tell you what these vendors do have in common, all right? They are all located in Switzerland, all right? Now, since they're all located in Switzerland and they all sell product from Intertabac AG primarily, would it make sense that the inventory labels on some of these cigar boxes would be the same? Because they buy from the same fucking distributor, guys. You know, and this website is listing that as some kind of like, oh, buyer beware, you know? And the fact that these vendors share an address. Now, if you guys have ever taken a moment to look at how these vendors are able to sell you cigars tax-free and how duty-free zones and how free zones work, pretty much any vendor that we order from offline operates out of something called a bonded warehouse. Now, if you don't know what a bonded warehouse is, a bonded warehouse is owned by a private individual and it is inspected by customs, okay? So bonded warehouses are open to customs inspections at will, at random, and as long as the items are held in that warehouse, they are not subjected to any value-added tax, okay? You can find bonded warehouses involved with high-end artwork. You can find them involved with precious metals, and you can find them involved with anything that comes into the country but is not staying in the country permanently, all right? as long as the item remains in a bonded warehouse, it is not considered to be in the country. All right. So vendors, they have inventory in their bonded warehouse and they export it directly from there, therefore bypassing paying value-added tax on the cigars upon importation into the country and export out of the country. Okay, it avoids a lot of paperwork. It avoids a lot of capital being tied up. And on top of which, there is a limited amount of these bonded warehouses available. Usually, an individual owns a bonded warehouse and they sublet it to several tenants. Okay, and depending on where it is and the specific type of bonded warehouse it is, the circumstances change. So if you guys are really interested in this, then you need to do some research online about it. Okay, I have a rudimentary understanding of it just to give you guys a quick overview, but that's not the focus of our topic tonight. But I just, I gave you the information that I felt was relevant enough to the feature. So hopefully you guys are grasping what I'm talking about. But if not, then, Google it and come back or whatever. But it makes sense with the limited availability of these free spaces and bonded warehouses that multiple vendors would be located operating out of the same warehouse. That does not mean that they share inventory with each other. That does not mean that their businesses are connected. That does not mean that they are all owned by the same person. What it means is that they're friendly competitors operating out of the same address, which, I mean, if you look at the size of this fucking warehouse on Google Maps, and yes, I Google mapped it. Here is the fucking screenshot. Look at the size of that place. You telling me that more than one business can't exist in there? Okay. There's no less than 4 operating out of there. And they're not all cigar businesses either. There's a graphic design business and there's a something else in there too. I can't recall at the moment. But that's how industrial parks work. And in this industry, I mean, at the end of the day, what the fuck does any of this have to do with the vendor's reliability and the quality of the wares that they sell and the authenticity of the wares that they sell? Why is this guy from cigaranalysis.com throwing this shit in there? Because he has nothing else to go after that merchant with and sling mud at them with. Okay, so he's grasping at straws, and this is the shit that he's kicking out. Okay, creating these like cigar conspiracy theories about, oh, well, we think that they just have 4 different company names because if you get pissed off at one, you start ordering from the other, but they didn't really lose your business. Guys, I mean, if that's the best that they can come up with, like, give me a fucking break. All right. And some of the stuff that's just listed as complaints about these vendors, like I said, fucking garbage. They got nothing substantial to say, and they don't go out of their way at all to clear up any of the obvious misunderstandings that some of the customers have. So take that with a grain of salt. Okay. The other thing that really grinds my gears is that while vendors like Cigar One and Top Cubans made the good list, despite those caveats I just covered, sites like cigarsofhabanos.com, iHavanas, and Puro Express, they didn't make the good list, but they didn't make the bad list either, because he can't call them fake, but he doesn't want to call them good either. He goes in on Cigars of Habanos and calls Ravi out by name regarding the pricing of some of the cigars that he's selling. And then starts going in on duty-free vendors, period. And somehow Ravi bears the brunt of this. And then comes iHavanas and Puro Express. Now, Ravi has been around in the game since 1996. He is one of the most respected vendors out there, and a lot of people credit him as being the pioneer of the online Cuban cigar system that we have in place today. Okay? He has a lot of connections in the community. And if you talk to some of the old heads on the Cuban cigar forums and you ask them where they get their stuff from, most of them are going to say that COH is one of their trusted vendors. Okay, so the best place to get information, like I have been saying for a little while now, talk to the guys that have been doing it for a while. Okay, if these vendors were not doing the right thing, we'd fucking hear about it. Okay, the one or two things that Cigar Analysis did that may be considered a win for them would be the hit piece on finestcubancigars.com and the bad list that they have. Okay, now the difference about the hit piece that they did on finestcubancigars.com, they got photos, they got facts, they got dates, they got timelines, they got all this stuff to support their case. Now, guess how many photos and supporting factors to their case that they have against Cigars of Habanos? They have nothing. Okay, not a single fucking photo, not a single fucking box. Any of the viewers that, any of the visitors to that site, like one or two guys that claim that they got fakes from this site, where are the pictures? What's your argument? You say, oh, I got this site, obvious fakes. I got this box, obvious fakes. Like, how the fuck can you take that seriously? And they claim to have a quality control criteria for their comments that get left, that they have to be approved and the person has to provide an order number. Well, if you don't work for the site or anything like that, how the fuck do you know it's a valid order number? You don't. I could write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, talk shit about a vendor, vanish like a fucking fart in the wind, and be done with it. And you would never be the wiser. And you would post it. Because if it's talking shit about one of your competitors, you're not going to cry about it. And why is it that when these vendors reach out to you and say, hey, you got it all wrong about my business, you know, like, where did you get this information? Let me, you know, like, you would think that if they had truly benevolent intentions, that they would say, hey, you know what? Tell us where we got it wrong. I'm glad you hit us up. Thank you. You know, why wouldn't they be interested in having a dialogue with the vendor? Instead, they say what they say, and then they hide behind the anonymity of that website. Okay? Shit, man. When I called Bill out on, you know, the whole incident with the finest Cuban cigars and the fakes, I had dialogue with Bill for weeks afterwards until it broke down, and he threatened to sue me for slander. Which is fucking funny when I think about it, because you know, I had him fucking dead to rights, and you know, it was really his lies and those emails that solidified my case against him. You know, so you would figure that these vendors, you would figure that cigaranalysis.com, whoever's running that site, you would figure they'd be clamoring to have a conversation with these vendors so they can catch them in lies. Because when people aren't doing the right thing, they fucking lie. And when people lie, they have to keep up with those lies. And when they have to keep up with those lies, they get caught up and fuck up at some point. It's just the way it is. Okay, so if you give somebody enough rope to hang themselves, they will. It will happen at some point. And they don't even allow that dialogue to happen. All right, so talking about how can he sell this box of Bolivar Royal Corona for so cheap? How the fuck do you know how much he's paying for that box of Bolivar Royal Corona? You know, the Cuban cigar industry has proved itself time and time again to be so fucking out there and bizarro. It's like trying to do long division in your head. All right, so we have no idea what kind of arrangements that Cigars of Habanos has with who. Okay, if these merchants were not doing the right thing, if they were not buying their cigars from legitimate Habanos SA distributors, then there's just no possible way that they would not have been outed on a forum by now, with the amount of people that I know personally that use these merchants, and the quality of their wares speaks for itself. Okay, these vendors sell amazing fucking quality cigars. All right, and authors at cigaranalysis.com, I think what it is genuinely is that they are afraid of them, and they are competitors. They are trying to discreetly steer you away, and they are trying to corral you over to their end of things. And that's all it really is. And if I get any definitive proof on who this individual is, if I can confirm my hunch about who the owner of cigaranalysis.com is, then I will be certain to share that information with you guys. But I think if you guys look hard enough, you guys will figure it out as well. The merchant that I suspect them to be the owner of Cigar Analysis, they are listed high up on the good list. So if you look at that and you comb through the vendor list on the good list, I think you could figure it out for yourself just by recognizing the familiarity of the style of language that's written in the frequently asked questions and all that stuff of the vendor versus Cigar Analysis. But I want you guys to understand something, that, I don't go out of my way to seek doing hit pieces like this on guys. I know it might come across like I enjoy being this fucking watchdog or anything like that. I really, it's not that at all. Excuse me. It's just that when I got multiple viewers coming to me and they're distraught or they're confused about something that was disseminated on this one website, and I keep hearing this fucking website's name from newcomers, and it's, sometimes these newcomers, they're dissuaded from ordering Cuban cigars and starting a collection for a couple of years because of shit they read on this website. So when there's a website that's out there that's robbing people of the joy and passion of enjoying Cuban cigars and starting a collection, you bet your goddamn fucking ass that that site is an enemy of mine. Okay? Because even if they magically, in their own distorted, twisted little minds, thought they were doing the right thing, the way that they're going about it is completely wrong. All right? And the fact that they go through great lengths to hide their identity or to attempt to hide their identity tells me that they know that they're not going about things in an ethical fashion, because you don't see vendors like Cigars of Habanos and fucking Puro Express and Havanas and, Friends of Habanos. You don't see them going around slandering other vendors and making websites disguised as fucking neutral review sites to push an agenda. You don't see that from them because they don't need to. Okay? They let their products speak for themselves. And I'm not carrying water for these vendors either. And I'm not saying they don't ever fuck up. Okay? Nobody's perfect 100% of the time. And Cuba, being Cuba, we know that there can be variables in the quality of these cigars at times. We know that bands can come with misprints. We know that cigars can come tightly rolled. We know, we know that there are inherent errors that are possible when dealing with a handmade product and dealing with a communist country that is producing stuff from a centrally planned economy. Okay? So that's just part of the game. But all in all, at the end of the day, these cigars just wet my whistle, man. They're just, and I feel like a lot of you agree with me, otherwise you wouldn't be here right now. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Whatever it is, keep doing what you're doing, Cuba, because you're producing some amazing fucking cigars and you bring me a lot of joy and happiness. And you have introduced me to a fantastic community. And I want to share that passion with newcomers that are interested in joining up with us. Okay, and when there is sites like this that stop that from happening or try to prevent that from happening, then they need to be fucking outed and fucking eviscerated and wiped off the fucking face of the internet and discredited for the frauds that they are. Okay? Because the stuff that people are reading on these sites is inflaming individuals enough where somebody actually had the balls to fucking go on my vendor bowl video and try to talk smack on Cigar One on the comments section of my Vendible video. And I felt pretty slighted by that, to be honest, because this individual had reached out to me, and I'm not even sure he's ever smoked a Cuban cigar before, to be honest, but reached out to me in mid-March, late March, and asked about vendors and asked about Cigar One specifically that he saw in the Vendible video. And I didn't hear from him again for a few weeks, and then a couple weeks later he comes back and says, you know, don't just follow blindly, do your own research on Cigar One. One need not look further than cigaranalysis.com to see what's up with them. And I'm not speaking verbatim what he said. That was the general gist of what he said. But the fact that this individual read something on this site and felt the need to circumvent me and go right to my comments section to address my viewers like he was blowing the whistle and let everybody know that, oh, hey, you know, ignore this guy. He's a fucking shill for this vendor. Like, anybody that knows me knows that I don't fucking sell cigars. I don't make money on this channel, and I do this shit for the love and the camaraderie, you know? So the amount of research and the amount of heart that I put into that Vendible feature, fucking 42 pages of narrated dialogue, a year's worth of research and documenting and photographing my purchases from online vendors just to give newcomers the confidence to start a collection. And I apologize to you guys again for this diatribe. The love that I've gotten from the individuals, and there's been hundreds of them, by the way. I've been at this for a few years now, and there's been hundreds over the years that have come to me and said, Dan, you know, you gave me the confidence to start a cigar collection, and I'm on my 4th box, I'm on my 10th box, I'm on my 15th box, you know, and there's guys that I came across and got introduced to in like 2016 that are so firmly entrenched in the Cuban cigar community right now that, you know, it's just incredible to be able to go through my Cuban cigar journey and see them in their journey and see the progress that we've both made as individuals in this lifestyle, in this hobby. And it's a beautiful thing. And, you know, when I got somebody trying to discredit the work that I'm doing, you know, it's really hurtful. And I'm not going to stand for any misinformation or slander in my comments section. If you guys ever try to slander a vendor that you haven't used before because of some shit you read online, you better not do it on my comment section. You know, I will not respond in kind. That's all I'm going to say. But if you guys have a problem with the vendor that you used and you want to share that experience, I would never stop you from doing that. I would still prefer that you gave me the courtesy of reaching out to me personally before you decided to go on my comment section and address my viewers, though. You know, I don't have a million viewers, but the ones I do have, I care about. Okay? You know, you guys are my people. That's all I'm saying. And I want to make this, you know, this channel a place where people can go to get answers. I don't want anybody to ever come onto my channel and feel more confused than before they watched a video. Okay? I don't want anybody to ever go in my comment section and find bullshit in there. All right? This is a fucking bullshit-free zone. So that's all I'm going to say about this whole fucking thing. I've taken up enough of your time. On to Humidor Scores. Welcome to the second edition of Humidor Scores, guys. After the success of the first installation, I am very eager to bring you this second batch of recommendation lists for you guys. You guys were extremely pleased with the video with the first set of recommendations I gave you, and I appreciate those who took the time to reach out to me and let me know of things I may have missed or things that you guys felt should have been on the list, and I encourage you guys to do the same for this feature, okay? Obviously, I can't cover every cigar, every single feature, but rest assured, I am with you. Trust me. There are very few Cuban cigars that I genuinely dislike. Some I am not as crazy about as others. Some I'm just, you know, they don't really do anything for me. And you know, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the biggest Partagas guy or H. Upmann guy, or, you know, there's just certain cigars that people swoon over, that I'm not necessarily super impressed by. And then there's cigars that I love and that I could never not have as a staple in my rotation that others can't really be bothered with. So that's part of the beauty of what makes being a cigar enthusiast a unique experience for everybody, because everybody's palate is different. And since everybody's palate is different and they interpret the same exact cigar to be two completely different things in some cases, the experience is going to be different for everybody. However, some individuals are more experienced at describing how they interpret cigars to their palate. Some individuals are more in tune to the flavors and aromas they draw from a cigar. And I believe that I have a fairly good grasp on how my palate interprets cigars when I smoke them. And this is part of the reason I'm such a slow smoker. And this is why I always encourage fellow cigar enthusiasts to take their time and enjoy their cigars, and to not rush through a cigar, or to select a appropriate cigar for the time frame available to them that they can set aside to smoke. You know, you don't want to light up a double Corona when you only have an hour and a half of free time. You don't want to light up a Churchill when you only have an hour of free time. You know, you don't want to light up a Robusto when you have a half hour's worth of time, because you're going to feel guilty about throwing a cigar away when it's only a third of the way done or halfway done, and you're going to rush through that cigar in an effort to finish it, and you are going to have a less than optimal experience, in my opinion. But without further ado, okay, I want you guys to imagine once again that you have roughly $100 in your hand, okay? And on these bottom end of the scale budget, cheap and cheerful recommendations, you know, like let's say roughly 120 is my threshold, okay? Anything really that goes past $120 or $125, that's why I didn't really include certain cigars like the Rafael Gonzalez Petit Corona, or the Monte Cristo No. 5 in my original cheap and cheerful list. Now, you can often get those cigars for under $120 a box, but not always. You know, I tried to make it so it's cigars that are almost always $120 or below, okay? Prices are subject to change, but let's say for argument's sake here that every cigar on this next list of 5 can be found online today for $120 or less per box of 25 count, okay? So starting at number 5, and this was a real shocker to me. I picked this up on a whim late last year on a Black Friday sale. The price was just too good to say no. I figured I'd get it as a work cigar or just a quick daily driver, cheap and cheerful. And they didn't impress me that much when I had first purchased them. But over the last few weeks, I have smoked about 3 of these cigars, and they are really starting to come along very well, and they have impressed me with the trademark core woody note that this brand is known for, as well as the creamy vanilla wisps that come in and out of the blend, which I have also experienced in their more premium offerings. And the cigar that I am discussing right now is the Rafael Gonzalez Panatella Extra, which is a 5x37 ring gauge short Panatella cigar. You could pick up a box for well under $100. In some cases, you may be able to pick up 2 boxes for around $100. I paid about $52 for this box from Cigar One on the Black Friday sale, on that same order that I had picked up that box of Monte Cristo Especial No. 2s. Okay, these Rafael Gonzalez Panatella Extras, they are a short filler cigar. The same vitola, I believe, as the Por Larrañaga Panatella, which was recently discontinued. Okay, the Por Larrañaga Panatella is a very, very popular cigar amongst enthusiasts in the cheap and cheerful category. And despite it being discontinued, you could probably still grab a box or two laying around online, okay? But that cigar, I didn't really take to it, to be honest. My man Vlad was kind enough to send me a $5 when he had found out that I had never tried the cigar, because he is a huge fan of the cigar. But unfortunately, every cigar I had gotten spare for 1 out of the 5 had extreme draw issues, and even with the perfect draw, it just, I just couldn't get a good pull on this thing. But the Rafael Gonzalez Panatella Extra, the experience I haven't had a bad experience as far as the draw goes with this cigar. When I first picked up the box, they were very fresh. I got them in late November, and they were dated July 2019. So for the smoothness and pleasant Rafael Gonzalez trademark, light in strength, medium in body, that it's a core woody flavor, a toasted tobacco flavor, combined with just a little bit of sweet vanilla notes coming in and out, and that creates a creamy mouthfeel to the smoke. So they have already started to blossom into that trademark Rafael Gonzalez profile, and for that I am truly excited to see how this box will progress. And for $52 and a 5x37 short Panatella, which is right in my wheelhouse, anybody that knows my smoking habits and sees the cigars that I smoke on a regular basis will know that that's something that's right up my alley. Short Panatellas, I can't get enough of them. Just extremely elegant, and when they're in a shorter length format and can be enjoyed in an hour or less, that's a beautiful thing for me, So that's number 5 on my cheap and cheerful recommended list. Even if you don't like necessarily, even if you don't really care for thinner vitolas like this, it is always good to have something that's just a nice little change up in your humidor. And the average price on this cigar, even not on sale, is well under $100, somewhere in the $65 to $75 range at regular price. And for that price, I mean, you're talking $3 or less a cigar. You really can't go wrong for that. Just for a nice yard cigar, or just a cigar for, morning coffee or whatever, or something to give to your friends on the golf course that, they'll feel happy because you gave them a Cuban cigar, but, and it's very accessible to even people who don't smoke cigars often or anything like that. They'll feel satisfied that you gave them a Cuban, but you won't have necessarily given them one of your, your good, your nice Monte Cristos or your Cohibas or anything like that. But it is a distinctly pleasant experience. It's not overly complex. It's very approachable, and it is very affordable. And the current batch of production seems to be constructed very well and seems to be smoking very well young. And that is always a win in my book. Okay? The next cigar, number 4, is something that I hold even more dear to my heart. And that is the Fonseca Delicias. The Fonseca Delicias is a Corona-sized cigar, okay? And it is another short filler cigar. And in my opinion, it is one of the best cigars you can find in the world under $100 a box, okay? This cigar tends to have extremely, extremely prominent floral bouquets, and there is a nutty sweetness to the cigar that I don't necessarily always find in more premium Fonseca offerings. I have just about mowed through the last of my April 2015 box of Delicias, and they come wrapped in tissue paper, just the same as any of the long filler Fonseca offerings, and they are, again, very approachable. The flavor, though, is much more rich, and it's a excuse me, it is a full-bodied flavor, but a light in strength smoke. And my favorite time to smoke this cigar is on a Saturday or Sunday morning, very early in the morning, with a nice cup of coffee or something. And I like to listen to the the birds sing outside, and just, you know, I like to smoke it in the morning before anybody else is up or anything like that. It's dead quiet outside, and all you hear is the birds singing, and it's just a very, very relaxing and sublime experience. Fonseca is known to have a very floral profile, in my opinion, from my experience with them. And I'm not super experienced with Fonseca. I also have a box of Fonseca Cosacos, which are just about the same length, I believe, but they might be 2 points thicker on the ring gauge. Okay. They are both Corona-sized cigars. Yeah, they're the same length, but I think the Delicias is a 40 ring gauge and the Cosacos is a 42. Either way, Fonseca is a very interesting and unique Cuban cigar. They're lighter than other Cuban cigars. They don't have the nicotine, as much nicotine punch as other Cuban cigar offerings, and their brand of floral notes is more prominent than almost any other Cuban cigar brand. And for that, I absolutely love that Cuban floral note that is distinct to Habanos. And the other good thing is that this particular cigar, it is not a cigar that moves fast off the shelves. And if you order this cigar from one of the overseas merchants, or if you find them on the secondary market, odds are you will be dealing with a box with a good amount of age on it. Okay, and again, for a short filler cigar, the quality of the construction and draw has been excellent for me. I have gone through roughly a box and a half of these cigars, and I have not had any issues with the draw or anything like that. And the cigar is consistently delivered for me. I have a handful of them left, and I'm going to have to restock before I run out, because I would not be happy if I didn't have this cigar in my repertoire. Okay? So, bringing us to number 3 is a very popular small format premium Cheap and Cheerful brand. But it is not one that I initially gravitated towards, but I had a couple of recent examples, and I was much more impressed with those. And these are staples in the Cuban cigar community, and I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't bring them up here. Okay? And that would be the H. Upmann Half Corona. The H. Upmann Half Corona shares the same vitola as the Monte Cristo Media Corona, which is 3.5 inches in length by 44 ring gauge. The draw on the H. Upmann Half Corona is excellent, and the flavor profile almost reminds me of a slightly lighter Mag 46. Lots of twangy spice, and there is a almost like peanut kind of flavor on the last batch that I had, and the cigar, it was just very, very pleasant, and the length and vitola, the length and the ring gauge, excuse me, the vitola overall is a very pleasant one in my opinion, and it's an excellent morning cigar to go with, your coffee, or it is an excellent lunch break cigar, or a quick after dinner smoke. And it's extremely popular in the community, and I think that, with the fact that they often go on sale for prices well under $100 a box, you could find a box almost any day of the week for, $79 or $89, and even the more expensive vendors, they might have them for $100 tops. It's just, why not? It just makes no sense not to at least give it a chance once. If you're curious about this cigar and the format, if it could work for you, pick up a couple of singles from a vendor that provides that service and see what it's all about. The next cigar, you guys might feel like I'm cheating you a little bit because I did mention it in the last video, but I feel like this cigar is excellent enough where it deserves to be on a list, and it deserves to be high up on that list. Excuse me. That would be the Bolivar Corona Jr. The Bolivar Corona Jr. is the same size as the Ramon Allones Small Club Corona, San Cristobal El Principe, which is about 4 1/3 by 42 ring gauge. Okay, and this cigar delivers all of the intensity and twangy punch of a Bolivar Petit Corona in a shorter format, and will provide you with roughly an hour of some of the strongest Cuban cigar flavor that you can get. In my humble opinion, the Bolivar Petit Corona is probably the strongest in terms of nicotine and flavor intensity out of the lineup. The Royal Corona and the Bolivar Belicosos Finos, the extra velado, due to the thicker ring gauges, you know, those cigars are a 50 and 52 ring gauge respectively. That extra velado filler provides a more buttery and creamy kind of mouthfeel and more mellow and diluted kind of punch to it. Both elegant cigars, highly recommended. But if you want the one that's the real, you know, knockout punch, then I'm saying the Petit Corona is your champion. And the Corona Junior sits right next to the Petit Corona. All right. Bolivar is a outstanding local brand. They are in the upper echelon of the niche brands, where they're very popular with Cuban cigar enthusiasts, but not necessarily widely known outside of the Cuban cigar community. And for that, the production is almost exclusively at the Partagas factory, yet the consistency is extremely high quality. The reliability of the construction and the wrappers and the flavor profile is extremely consistent on these cigars. The whole Bolivar brand as a whole, in my opinion, is very consistent in terms of flavor profile and construction quality and wrapper quality and whatnot. Some Bolivars, most Bolivars, as a matter of fact, they have this beautiful rosado colored wrappers to them, and you know, occasionally they take on a more golden amber kind of hue, but the Bolivar, you know, the whole aura of the brand, the artwork is gorgeous. You know, even the, you know, in addition to the top of the lid on the dress box of that elegant photo of Simon Bolivar, giving the cigar a really regal presentation, combined with the beautiful imagery. I guess it's somewhat of like a, you know, like an old noble house, their initials or their crest or something. I'm not sure what it is, but that image on the slip sheet when you open up the lid of the dress box, and then you see that that paper that you flip over and reveal the cigars. That artwork is absolutely gorgeous. Everything about a box of Bolivar is just outstanding and beautiful. And the cigars seem to be smoking very well young, and the price, they typically retail for roughly between $100 and $120, maybe a couple dollars more, maybe a couple dollars less. I have seen them go on sale below $100 during the holidays, and typically I see them priced roughly between $100 and $120. So for that value, they are in the upper echelons of the cheap and cheerfuls, and I guarantee you that any fan of full-body Cuban cigars, the Bolivar Corona Junior will put a smile on your face. And finally, another very popular cigar that might seem like a very obvious choice, maybe even a cop-out, but I would be remiss if I didn't discuss it. And I showed you guys at the very end of the last videos, the frequently asked question video. If you go to the very end, I showed screenshots of recent mail calls. I had received this box of Partagas shorts in a mail call from Cigars of Habanos recently. And the box came to me sealed, and it came to me with a July 2019 box date. Now, Partagas as a whole, the Habanos Partagas, has a very spicy and powerful profile. It is known to be one of the strongest Cuban brands, some say the strongest. I don't necessarily think they're the strongest these days, but this particular box of cigars has a lot of punch, okay? If you are someone who appreciates a very spicy and full-flavored Cuban blend, then I would highly recommend the Partagas Shorts. They are the same vitola as the Bolivar Corona Jr. at 4.3 by 42 ring gauge, and the cigar, as you could see by the screenshots, the wrappers and construction on these cigars is just phenomenal. The wrappers have such a beautiful oily sheen, and they are outstanding. The cigar has a very spicy profile, definitely full body, definitely full strength, definitely something that would satisfy anybody. Definitely not something I'd recommend for beginners either. In terms of cigar smoking, if you're brand new to cigar smoking, I would say maybe give it a couple of months before you reach for this one. And I will warn you that with under a year of age, the cigar is extremely, extremely nicotinic. Okay, but even in youth, this cigar shows a lot of promise, enough to make me put it at number 1 on the list. Between the spicy bite and the sweet butterscotch notes that are created by this cigar, I smoked another one of these last night after I finished recording the first 2 chapters of this feature, and I was impressed as hell. I've smoked 3 out of this box so far, and each one has impressed me immensely. So this is a cigar that I just had to let you guys know about. I had to talk about it on this list. I know a lot of people in the Cuban cigar community, it is one of the most recommended cheap and cheerful or small format cigars. And let me say that you can get this cigar in either a 25 count dress box for between $99 and $125, or you can find a 50 cab in a 50 count slide lid cabinet format for over 200, between like I guess around 230 somewhere maybe. Either way, if you decide, you purchase a dress box of these and you decide that you really enjoy them, I would recommend that you, if you plan on keeping them in your rotation, maybe you pick up a 50 cab in addition to the dress box, and keep the 50 cab around for aging and pull out of the dress box to start with. 50 cabs and 25 count slide lid cabinet boxes and whatnot. Cabinets just seem to be aging cigars so beautifully, and dress boxes do well also, but there's just something about a cabinet, the presentation's so elegant, and that beautiful ribbon, and there's nothing like holding a nice fat wheel of 50 cigars in your hand. You know what I'm saying? So that's it for this list right now, and we are going to come back with one more list of recommendations for you guys. All right? We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. And we got one more list in store tonight, and the cigars on this list are no more than $250 for a box of 25 on any given day. And there are cigars that I wanted to include that often go on sale for under $250 a box and are excellent, excellent cigars for the money. But I wanted to make sure that I kept these lists as consistent as possible. And given the caliber of these cigars, they are well worth the money that they command. But since, some of these cigars do often go for over $200 a box or dance around $200 a box, some of them can be as much as up to $250 at times. I would recommend that anybody who's strongly considering one of these recommendations, maybe try to secure a $5 or order a little sampler from a vendor who sells singles. Maybe hit up FOH or something, or COH or whatever, and put together a little sampler of 2 or 3 of each cigar and give them a shot, see if you like them before you commit to a box, just because it is a good chunk of cash, But if you find that you enjoy any of these cigars, when you pick up a box or a cabinet of them, you will find them very well worth it, and you will find them to be hidden gems in Habanos S.A.'s catalog. I know that I feel that way, and many other Cuban cigar enthusiasts do as well. And these are really the cigars that start to show you what Cuba is about. It's not always about that $25 or $30 a cigar Cohiba or that special edition Monte Cristo, 80th anniversary. It's not always about those Edición Limitadas or the regional editions. It's not always about, the super high-end stuff. The real gems in Cuba, this is where we start to get into them. And when you see how affordable some of these cigars are for the caliber of cigar and the quality of the cigars that you are being provided with, you will fall in love with Cuban cigars at some point or another if you continue to sample them. Okay? And some of these cigars are more approachable at a young vintage than others, and I will try my best to specify that as we progress through the list. So without further ado, let me jump into number 5 right now, and that is the Juan Lopez Selection number 2, which is a 4 7/8 by 50 ring gauge Robusto. Okay, I have a February 2018 slide lid cabinet box of these that I received from Cigars of Habanos just under a year ago. I have around half the cabinet left. When I first got the cigars last summer, they were very, very fragrant and pungent and strong. And the flavor was a very dank, earthy flavor. And I wasn't really too crazy about them. And I had smoked, aged examples prior to that, prior to purchasing the cabinet. I had 2015 and 16 and 17 examples of the cigar before I had committed to purchasing a cabinet. But I am very pleased to say that this particular cabinet, which this goes, I brought this up in the last video and showed us a shot in my last video of these cigars. You could see that my particular cabinet has Maduro-colored wrappers on them. You will not always find such dark wrappers on this cigar. This goes to exemplify my point, and I had used this particular box to exemplify my point in the last video, that Cuba does not always have a strict standard as to what shade of wrapper goes on a particular cigar. Okay, sometimes this affects flavor more than others, but the Juan Lopez Selection number 2, more often than not, has a kind of spicy chocolate profile that kind of mingles with earth and floral notes. Okay, I would say that they really start to hit their stride after about a year, year and a half of age. My box is roughly at 2¼ years right now, and they are smoking beautifully. Trying to pace myself and not reach for one too often so I don't burn through the cabinet too quickly, but they are an excellent workhorse cigar. They are they're roughly about, they can go as low as $160, $170 for a cabinet when they're on sale. They're typically priced between $185 and $225 for a cabinet of 25, though. So you're still talking under $10 a cigar, and for that, they are an outstanding value. Okay. They may not be in everybody's wheelhouse. I tend to say that Ramon Allones, Partagas, and Juan Lopez all share some core DNA with each other. They all seem to have like a common element between the three of them. They're all similar in nicotine strength, and they are all similar in body. Okay, they're all their own individual blends, and they're easily distinguished from one another. But if you like, it's a safe bet, in my opinion, to say that if you enjoy Ramon Allones, if you enjoy Partagas, then you will probably enjoy Juan Lopez. Okay? Juan Lopez is less talked about than those other two brands, but it is revered by the folks in the Cuban cigar community who are familiar with the brand. Okay? The next cigar, number 4 on the list, is another cigar that I've been talking about for a long time. Okay, I've been talking about this particular cigar on this channel almost as long as the YouTube channel has been around, and that is the St. Louis Rey Regios, which is a Hermosos number 4 Vitola, and that is 5x48 ring gauge, which is close to a Robusto, but not quite. I happen to love this Vitola. It is a perfect Vitola, in my opinion. And the St. Louis Rey Regio is a perfect example of the Cuban floral bouquet. It has the classic Cuban sweet floral notes mixed with a little bit of barnyard earth and spice, and they seem to do very well young. They don't need to be rested as long as the Juan Lopez Selection number 2s. They can be approached under a year of age, and they only get better with time. I have a July 2018 box, and have just over half of that box, and they are still improving constantly, and they are smoking beautifully, and they have been for quite a while. The artwork on the St. Louis Rey dress box is, in my opinion, some of the most beautiful cigar artwork I've ever seen. The cover of the dress box is gorgeous, classic style Cuban artwork. The interior has another image as well that looks almost similar to some of the stuff that you see on the Cuban warranty seal, the image of the workers in the field and whatnot. Unfortunately, St. Louis Rey has been cut down to one Vitola in its regular production lineup. And unfortunately, that's becoming a trend in a lot of the secondary brands in Habanos S.A.'s catalog. And we're going to be talking about that in another feature coming soon, because there's been a very big change to Habanos S.A. recently. And we'll get into that another time. But hopefully this will possibly provide some much-needed liquidity injections into Habanos S.A. in their catalog, and maybe can help them step up their operations a bit and start producing, you know, the niche marcas in larger quantities again. Because between St. Louis Rey, Sancho Panza, La Gloria Cubana, I mean, I don't know what's going on with La Gloria Cubana. The Meadow de Oro number 4 hasn't been rolled in quite a while, and they have no other regular production Vitolas. I mean, they're constantly getting pimped out for regional editions, but, you know, give me my Panatellas any day of the week, guys. You know, but St. Louis Rey Regio, I haven't heard anything that would indicate that the Vitola is discontinued or going to be discontinued or anything like that. I think we're safe from that for now. There's enough of a fan base for this cigar to keep it around, at least for the time being. And it would be a goddamn shame if you guys missed out on this fantastic under-the-radar cigar. They not only have a floral flavor, but they present a full floral bouquet, a variety of floral flavors in the smoke. Okay, especially on the retrohale, you just get such a, like, if you're a fan of that Cuban floral flavor, there are 3 brands I always tell people to go for: Fonseca, Punch, and St. Louis Rey. So this cigar is stronger than Punch. It's stronger than Fonseca. It is a full strength, full-bodied cigar. Not quite as full as, let's say, Partagas or Bolivar or Trinidad, but it is in the medium full. How about that? We'll say that. It is in the medium full in strength. It is full in body. It is decadent, rich, and it is affordable at typically just over $200 or just under $200 for a box of 25. They're approachable, quite approachable, with under a year on them, and they only get more and more finessed as time goes on. Number 3 should be no surprise to anybody who's been following my content for a while. This is really the cigar that put Cubans ahead of anything else in the cigar game for me personally. I discussed it the last video. I was able to look at the timestamps on the photos. And this is part of the advantage of keeping a cigar journal, guys, because I have been documenting my cigar smoking for, you know, over half a decade now. And I have been taking photos of the cigars I smoke and keeping them in my Instagram page, which is a cigar journal. And I was able to pinpoint my exact Habanos moment because I had the timestamps from the photos that I took of this particular cigar. And that is the Punch, which is a 5 5/8 by 46 ring gauge Corona Gorda. That particular example that I had my Habanos moment with was a 2013, but I have smoked examples as recent as 2018, and they are still delivering. The newer batches seem to have a bit more, no pun intended, punch to them. They have a bit more spicy kind of kick to them. But the trademark punch, floral, and herbal notes are still there in spades. They deliver a smooth and elegant experience, and they are medium in strength, full in body, and they are very, very elegant and classy cigars, and they are quintessential classic Cuban. There's really just, that's the best way that I can articulate it. I apologize. I'm throwing out like 4,000 adjectives in a minute, but these cigars conjure up so much vivid memories of pleasant experiences I've had with them, and the passion that cigar ignited from my love of Cuban tobacco. I will forever have a large amount of gratitude for the brand of Punch and the profile at which the cigar represents. So if you enjoy that Cuban floral profile, then this is a cigar you should check out. They are one of the most consistent produced Cuban cigars in terms of like the construction and the flavor profile. They are almost always rolled at the La Corona factory, which is one of my favorite Cuban cigar factories. Now, I am not a factory code chaser. I want you guys to know that, you know, unless a merchant comes to me and asks me, you know, I have boxes from this box date and this factory code and this box date and this factory code. I typically just take what's given to me. But, you know, when I have an opportunity to get a La Corona produced box, I always grab La Corona produced boxes just because I enjoy the way that they consistently roll cigars very well, and they always seem to deliver the goods. Okay, a Punch cigar is just a fantastic classic Cuban cigar. It is one of those cigars where if I was trying to show somebody the epitome of a Cuban cigar in 5 cigars or less, you know, along with the Monte Cristo and Cohiba, a Punch would probably be one of the cigars I give somebody. So I don't even know what else to say about them after that, but I would highly recommend that you check them out. They come in either dress boxes of 25, which retail usually for around $225, $230, maybe a little bit less at some merchants. Or if you don't want to spend that much, you can buy them in boxes of 10 in tubos. I just recently finished a 2016 box of tubos. I have to order another. And I have a handful of Punch singles I had gotten from the secondary market late last year, and those are smoking very well already. So keep an eye out for Punch if you are looking for a quintessential Cuban cigar experience. And on to the next, which is also not going to be a surprise. Another Hermosos number 4 that I am extremely, extremely passionate about, that I have raved about ever since I got this box last summer, and that is the El Rey del Mundo Choix Supreme. And yes, in the past I said Choice Supreme, but I have been corrected by my boy Anthony multiple times about my improper pronunciation of Choix Supreme. So I'm going to say it like the proper Frenchman, right? Choix Supreme. The Choix Supreme is a fantastic cigar. It has a unique kind of baking spice note that I liken to the Biscoff European spice cookies. The cigar, you know, I spoke about it at length in the last recommendation video, and I apologize for doubling up on you guys, but I felt that it was absolutely necessary to include it on a list of niche brands that sell for $10 or less, because I cannot emphasize how much of a high caliber experience that this cigar delivers for the money. I paid roughly $185 for a box of 25 last year, which is well below our $250 threshold. And the cigars just continue to impress me. And if you do not want to drop the cash on a cigar of this size, or you don't want something this big, the Demitas is almost like a mini Schwa Supreme. Okay? So there's not much else I could say about El Rey del Mundo that I haven't already said in other videos, but just know that it is number 2 on my list. And real quick, before we get to number 1, in the spirit of proper pronunciations, I want you guys to know that most of us in the cigar community, whether Cuban or otherwise, have been living a lie for a long time, and I'm going to clear it up once and for all on how to pronounce the word Boveda, okay? Boveda or Boveda is not the way to pronounce it, okay? My man Jared, who is known on YouTube and Instagram as Jared Knows Cigars, recently did an interview with somebody very high up at Boveda. The packs are called Boveda packs. So it's Boveda packs. Okay? And you can watch that interview on YouTube. I will post the link, and you can see the interview with the gentleman from Boveda. Okay, I felt, enlightened immediately when I heard him finally pronounce it. And, I just, it's like I was living in truth all of a sudden, you know? Like before that, my entire life had been made up of lies. And now that I know that it is pronounced Boveda, I am enlightened. Or as the kids would say, I am woke. So, real quick, in regards to Boveda, I just want you guys to know something. A while back in my Cigar Beetle video, I had told you guys that I was using these. If you don't know what this is, it is the Boveda Humidor bag. And they are sold on Boveda's website for, how much are they? Somewhere between $11 and $15. And yes, they come with the 69% 60-gram Boveda pack. But, me being a guy that uses 65% packs, I had to take the 69 pack out and put a 65 in anyway. So I still had to buy the 65% pack. Let me just say that initially that these bags impressed me a lot. But now that I've been working with them for over a year, they did not withstand the test of time, and they are not worth the money, in my opinion. A 2-gallon Ziploc freezer bag would work just as well. It does work just as well as the Boveda bags. And why do I not recommend the Boveda bags and think that they're worth the money? The primary flaw in the design is located here. Okay, when you get the bags new, they are almost like sealed shut here, I guess to keep the pack inside fresh. And when you tear apart when you separate the two glued sides of the bag, there's these like foldovers from the zip line here, the track, and it is at these foldovers here that the bag starts to separate and tear away from the track. And while you can fix it with Scotch tape temporarily as a hack, that is not a permanent solution. And I noticed that the packs started to lose humidity much quicker after the bags got loaded with 2 or more boxes in there. And I initially was very impressed with them because you can actually fit 2 or 3 or 4 dress boxes in here, depending on what size the cigars are. You can fit usually about 3 or 4 boxes of Petit Coronas in here. You can fit 2 cabinets of Robustos in here. But guess what? You can fit almost the same amount in a Ziploc 2-gallon freezer bag. It will protect just as well. It will store humidity just as well and seal in humidity just as well, except you can buy a box of 10 of these 2-gallon Ziploc bags for less than the price of one of these Boveda. Look at me. I still have to correct myself every so often. You can buy 10 of these Ziploc 2-gallon freezer bags for less than the cost of one Boveda Humidor bag. They need to go back to the drawing board, and they need to fix those design flaws. And yes, I am going to reach out to Boveda, and I'm going to let them know what I think of their product. Boveda does a lot of things perfectly, but that was not one of them. And I just want to let you guys know, because as I progress in my Cuban cigar journey and my cigar journey period, you know, I always let you guys know about things that I'm experimenting with or things that I'm doing or practicing in my cigar enthusiasm. But, you know, when something's not working out, I have to let you guys know about that too. Without further ado, the #1 cigar on our niche brands under $250 a box, $10 or less a cigar, is the Bolivar Royal Corona. And this is no surprise. This is a cigar I've discussed on this channel before, but the Bolivar Royal Corona cannot be neglected by anybody, in my opinion. The cigar is just a fantastic, elegant, rich, and smooth Cuban cigar experience, okay? Bolivar, anybody who knows the profile knows what's up. You have a lemony, citrus kind of twangy blast combined with a cedar-style spicy punch mixed with a earthiness that is very deep and rich, and these cigars seem to smoke very well under a year. And I forgot to mention the El Rey del Mundo, the Choice Supreme. They smoked very well under a year as well, and they have continued to get better with time. They are starting to mellow out just a little bit, but they are still fantastic. And the Bolivar Royal Coronas, they age extremely well. I have a 5-year-old box of Royal Corona Tubos, and they smoke fantastic. The cigar is one of the highest caliber Cuban cigar experiences that you can have. And when you consider the value of these cigars, they just there's very little that can top a top-notch Bolivar like this. The blend is extremely consistent, produced almost entirely at the Partagas factory, and the Royal Corona maintains a status that is heralded by Cuban cigar enthusiasts, yet flies under the radar to the general cigar public. And this helps keep the price down and the stock and supply consistent, and it helps keep the quality of the cigars up. Some people actually got a little miffed at me at my last list. You know, Dan, you told everybody about my favorite secret cigar that nobody knows about. Well, you know, everyone's got a different palate, and you know, I have a genuine passion for helping cigar enthusiasts discover new cigars to enjoy in their cigar journey. And, you know, I know that not everybody is going to connect with every blend that I connect with, and not everybody is going to enjoy every cigar I enjoy. Some people will love cigars that I don't really care for. Some people will want to, you know, hoard everything for themselves and not want to share. But, you know, it is what it is. And I personally, I hope you guys find this list useful. I hope you guys get back to me if you happen to try any of these cigars and let me know what you thought. Definitely appreciative of that feedback, and I want you guys to know that the feedback that you guys give me continues to propel the channel, and I hope you guys recognize that, you know, from what I've done here in this feature and come back with a Humidor Scores follow-up so quickly, that I am listening to. Sorry about that, guys. The video cut out. I had said, I hope you guys know that I hear you loud and clear, whether it is in email responses, whether it is in comments left, whether it is in the view count or subscriber jump after I drop a feature. I want you guys to know that I am listening to your requests. I am listening to what you guys express to me, and I want you guys to know that even if you don't see me do something that you had suggested to me right off the bat, that does not mean that I didn't consider it. Several people have asked me to start smoking during my videos, especially these long-form formats that I'm doing these days. And I've explained in the past why I cannot do that. But let me just say again that, you know, in my apartment, it is just too difficult to have the place be properly ventilated and be able to address you guys at the same time, because I would have to have a fan going. You know, usually when I smoke, it's in my apartment anyway, but I am sitting right next to the window and I have a fan pointing outside, so the smoke goes right out the window, and it would just be impossible to do that and have myself be coherent and audible. And also, when I had tried to smoke on video in the past, the cigar kept going out. It took away from the enjoyment of the cigar. It also took away from the concentration in the video, and I had to keep taking time out from addressing you guys on the video to do a relight and whatnot, and it wasn't working out. It was just it wasn't adding anything. It was only taking away. So the other thing is too is that I don't like to do live cigar reviews. It's just not something that I'm really into. I don't like having a camera pointed at me when I'm enjoying a cigar. My cigar smoking time is a sacred time to me. I thoroughly enjoy writing about it afterwards and doing a written review, which you guys can find on my Instagram, or you guys can find me in the Cuban Cigar group on Facebook, Cuban Exchange 2.0. If you guys are interested in joining up at the Cuban Cigar Club on Facebook, where myself and two trusted friends are admins, then feel free to email me and we will get you hooked up and you can join our crew. Every time I post there, I pretty much post a review along with the photo of the cigar I'm smoking. So if you don't have an Instagram but you have Facebook, you could see it there. If you don't have either, I would suggest you either get on Instagram or you find my Instagram, cigar_salute. The profile is public, so you can feel free to browse and you can read the cigar reviews for yourself. And I issue reviews and tasting notes and lots of photos of the cigars and the boxes they came in. I enjoy presenting in a written format. It's just, to me, it allows me to have my cake and eat it too. I can do the cigar review, but I don't have to compromise my cigar time at the same time. So it's a win-win in my opinion. And I apologize for those that want to see me smoke on videos. It's just something that's not going to happen, especially with my girlfriend moving in this place in a couple of weeks. It's just, you know, I'm not going to do that to her. She's tolerant of my cigar smoking, but I'm not going to push the envelope, trust me. It's not fair to her, and I respect and appreciate that she has been tolerant of me smoking around her, you know, and it's just, you know, there's just no getting around it that, cigars smell great while they're burning, but you don't want to be in a room after a cigar's been smoked when there's no ventilation in there. And for me to be able to do a video and smoke a cigar, there would have to be no ventilation in here. Maybe that'll change one day if I get one of those rabbit air or something, those super HEPA filters. But right now, that's not on my priority list, to be honest. But I appreciate the suggestions, guys, and I would request that you keep them coming. I am working on another feature right now currently, and that feature is in relation to the recent acquisition by two separate Hong Kong-based firms regarding the acquisition of Imperial Brands' stake in Habanos SA. As we know, since 2000, Habanos SA has been 50% privately owned, and originally it was a union between a French and Spanish company that merged and became Altadis. That happened in 2000. In 2008, British Imperial Tobacco, now Imperial Brands PLC, purchased Altadis and therefore became owners of 50% of Habanos SA's stake. And now, as of last week, these two holding companies are now the asset owners of Imperial Brands' premium cigar division, and that includes the 50% stake in Habanos SA. So we will be discussing in the very, very near future how I speculate that to affect things. And I had mentioned over a year ago in a feature, the feature that I did before the Finest Cuban Cigars roast, the last feature I did before that, I discussed the burgeoning relationship between China and Cuba. And this, to me, is a reflection of that. I saw this coming a year ago when Imperial announced that they were looking to sell their premium cigar division, and it has come to fruition. Hopefully that means good things for us, but we shall see. So, as always, guys, it's been a pleasure, and be safe out there. Be well. Hopefully the apocalypse ends soon. As long as I continue to have a little bit of free time like this, I will continue to try and get you guys content a little bit more often. And it's been a real pleasure to meet all these newcomers that are coming to the channel. I want to thank Ron and Damien and all the other guys that have recently come into contact with me. And I want to thank you guys for joining up with Cuban Exchange 2.0. Anybody else that's interested in that, please reach out to me via email or Instagram direct message, and we'll get you linked up with our crew. Lots of the guys over here have joined up over there, and they are participating. They are purchasing cigars. They are networking and meeting other Cuban cigar enthusiasts, and it has been a smashing success so far. And I want to continue the good vibes that this channel has been generating. So I want to thank you guys for being a part of it. Stay well, smoke well, salute, have a good night.